Hi guys, welcome to the in-depth comparison between the Samsung Galaxy A33 and the Samsung Galaxy A53. This front camera video is being recorded in 4K at 30 frames per second resolution first, and I am walking in this park to give you guys an idea about the stabilization and other aspects of these front camera videos. So you guys have to be the judge and you have to tell me about the voice recording quality of these mics and other aspects that are supposed to make a camera's front video good enough. So after this I'll show you the 1080p at 30 frames per second video samples too between these two phones. Make sure that you guys subscribe to my channel and help me cross 100k subscribers, and drop your feedback about this comparison in the comment section down below. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 1080p at 30 frames per second video samples now. Alright, this one is now 1080p at 30 frames per second from the front cameras of these phones. A33 is limited to 30 frames per second for its front camera only, which is why I'm not going to show you the 60 fps samples, because this comparison is all about the common modes only. And once again, you guys have to be the judge for the resolution, for the voice recording quality of these mics and other aspects, the stability and whatever is supposed to make this front camera video good enough. Make sure that you guys subscribe and drop your feedback about these cameras in the comment section down below. And with this, we'll just go ahead and take a look at other parts of this in-depth comparison between the A33 and the A53. Like always, let's get the camera hardware out of the way first. A53 has got a main camera of 64 megapixels and its other camera details are on your screen. The front camera of the A53 is 32 megapixels Sony IMX616 sensor. A33's main camera is a 48 megapixel sensor and its other camera details are on your screen too. A33's front camera doesn't seem very powerful, it's just a 13 megapixel sensor and I am not sure about its manufacturer. The camera apps on both the sides apparently look the same, but the A33 lacks some options. For example, it cannot record ultrawide 4K videos and it doesn't have 1080p at 60 fps mode for the front camera. Remaining camera options on both the sides are somewhat similar. Let's take a look at the rear camera video samples now. Here is an ultrawide 1080p at 30 frames per second video on your screen. First of all, the colors differ on both the sides. A53's colors look rich and the sky also looks more blue in the video of the A53. A33's video lacks the depth in its colors. Stabilization on both the sides is similar. This is now a 1080p at 30 fps normal video. Now the saturation is high in the video of the A33, dynamic range is better on the A53. Stabilization is same once again on both the sides. The sky's color again looks better on the A53. Here is a 1080p at 60 fps video now. The stabilization is horrible on both the sides because no stabilization works in the 1080p at 60 fps video mode. Saturation is high in the A33's video again. Lastly, here is a 4K at 30 frames per second video. Horrible stabilization again. Samsung should fix the EIS in the 4K mode of these new Galaxy A smartphones as soon as possible. Otherwise, these phones won't be able to record videos in a good way. I hope someone from Samsung watches this video and fixes these issues. As always, we will start with the human subject ultrawide image. In this image of the A33, you will find the saturation on a very high side. Shadows in the A33's ultrawide image also appear a bit dark. The overall colors of the A33's image are a bit deep compared to the image of the A53. A53's image has better exposure in my opinion, and it's also producing better details. Here is a normal image. The image of the A33 has a pale or a warmer look overall. The red color is too dark on the A33 while it's on a slightly brighter side on the A53. My face has better saturation on the A53. I am finding the overall colors of the A53 better since it's got a cooler color tone as well. Now here this one is a high-res image. Details on both sides are too high this time, but the A53 takes a lead because of having a larger camera sensor of 64 megapixels. The colors of the A33 look dull again, and red color looks too deep on it. A53's red color is again on the brighter side, and I think it has better saturation once again. The saturation keeps changing between these cameras in different lighting conditions. So far in these images, I am liking the vibrance of the Samsung Galaxy A53. Now here is a portrait mode image, and this one is quite interesting. First of all, there is a visible difference of the colors and color tone, with the A53 having a more vibrant image with a slightly warm color tone and high saturation. The A33's image looks more realistic as it hasn't added too much of colors or saturation to the image. But there is no doubt that the A53's image is more eye-catching and has an overall soft look with a much deeper depth effect. Let me know which image out of these two is your choice. Here is another normal image from both the phones. Keep your eyes on the ground. You can see that the saturation is high on the A53 again, and its image is more lively compared to a slightly dull image of the A33. Here is the same image in the high-res mode. A closer look once again tells us that the A53's details are miles ahead, and it's adding those extra colors which you may or may not like. It simply makes its images pop more, and I think some users will like these tuned images while the A33's images look lackluster. Here is another normal image comparison. Shadows are too dark on the A53, vibrance on the ground is high on the A53, and A33's image lacks that extra boost in its colors. But this again means that the A33's image is more close to reality, so it depends on what kind of colors do you want in an image. The A53's images will keep impressing you. And here is a high resolution image with the same kind of color tone and effects that we just discussed a while ago. Another set of ultrawide and normal images is on your screen. When I first got my hands on these phones, I wasn't expecting the cameras to be too different. But since both phones have entirely different camera sensors, the photo result also comes out different. In all the images, the Galaxy A53 takes a lead because of its extra color boost and good saturation in most of the images. If the A33 starts boosting the colors in the images, it will look somewhat similar to the Galaxy A53, but I think Samsung has intentionally kept this difference to maintain the distance between the A33 and the A53. Here is your look at a 3x zoomed in image, and now you are looking at a 10x digital zoom image from both the phones. Here is another normal image. Saturation is high on the A53 again, and this one is the same image in the high-res mode. I think you can easily spot the differences on your own. I will now show you some indoor, ultrawide, normal and high-res images. The differences in these images are also similar to what we just noticed in the outdoor broad daylight images. Personally, I am not finding the images of the A33 bad because this phone is not adding that artificial boost to make its images look attractive. But again, it depends on what kind of colors do you like in an image. Now here in this image, the A33 has added too much boost to the colors and it makes the curtain look too red, while the A53 is keeping it a bit real. The camera result varies according to the lighting conditions, and the A53 wins in most of the conditions. It's time to take a look at a number of outdoor broad daylight and some indoor images to understand these cameras further. I would want you guys to watch all these images with your full attention and drop your own detailed analysis in the comment section below. Both cameras perform good in their own capacity and justify their photography power. You will just find the shadows on the darker side on the A53 and the A33 in my opinion has better shadow management. Saturation will keep changing throughout and details remain better on the A53 side. Colors will always get that extra boost on the A53. The A33 can sometimes act up in the broad daylight. Edge detection on both the phones is fine. Watch these photos and I'll catch you with the macro camera images in a while. Now these are the macro camera images and both phones take almost similar macro camera images. I am not finding a huge difference here. And now these are the low light and night mode images on the screen. The A53's low light and night mode capabilities are far ahead of the A33. A33 greatly struggles and there is a lot of room for improvement here. The A53 keeps the elements visible in almost all of its images unlike the Galaxy A33. The 64 megapixel sensor of the A53 helps it a lot here. A33's camera is not on that level and that can be seen in all of its night mode and low light images too. The amount of details in the A53's images is high. A33's images look kind of blown off with most of the elements going blurred. Noise in the images of the A53 is also low compared to the very high noise in the images of the A33. And lastly we have the selfies. I have taken selfies in both the wide and the normal modes. The selfies of the A53 have high saturation, cool color tone and very soft look. Selfies of the A33 look a bit over-sharpened and have got a warm color tone. The skin tone largely varies on both the sides. Obviously the A53 is trying to make the image look better by giving it the same kind of color boost that it was giving in the rear camera images. Details of the A53 are ahead once again. A53's front camera sensor is much better and I wish Samsung had used the same camera sensor on the A33. But then Samsung couldn't have maintained this difference between these two phones. The depth effect also looks better on the A53. My shirt's red color looks too red on the A53 and it looks a little pale on the A33. Let me know what selfie color tone do you guys like and which phone selfies have impressed you more out of these two. So the camera comparison ends here and in my opinion the Samsung Galaxy A53 is a much better device with a more powerful camera with more features, more video recording features in its camera app and it takes lovely pictures that can attract you. Let's take a look at the performance of these devices now. Both phones are powered by Exynos 1280 5nm chipset. This is the first time that Samsung has put the Galaxy A33 and the A53 in the same basket in terms of performance. These phones use 6 GB of RAM with 128 GB of base storage and storage standard is UFS 2.1. I will show you the AnTuTu benchmark scores of these phones first of all. Right now this is the storage benchmark score on your screen. And now you are taking a look at the performance benchmark scores. This is the Geekbench score on your screen now. And lastly, this is the 3D Mark gaming benchmark score for different tests. I conducted a little speed test on both the phones starting with the Premiere Rush application. For this I edited the same video clip on both the phones by applying the same effect. I rendered the clip into a 1080p video. Let's see which phone does it faster. and it looks like the Galaxy A33 takes a lead here. The Samsung Galaxy A53 did try to push it, but it lost this test. After this, I edited another same video clip in the Viva video application. I applied same effects on both the sides once again. This time I rendered it into a 720p clip. Initially both phones were going neck and neck, but the Samsung Galaxy A33 took the lead again and it won this one too. I edited a high resolution photo in the Lightroom application on both the phones. I applied auto-tune effects on the image and exported to the device. And it looks like the Samsung Galaxy A33 took the lead here as well. In the end, I edited the same image on both phones in the Snapseed application. I applied the same effects again and it looks like this time the Samsung Galaxy A33 was ahead once again. I did launch some other applications too, just to give you guys an idea how these phones load stock and third-party applications. So watch this part of the speed test and I'll catch you with the RAM management in a while. Okay, let's check the RAM management of these phones. It looks like both phones are launching the same applications from the same place, and if any application is killed, that is killed on both the phones. So there is no difference here in the RAM management, it's the same on both the sides. Let's move on to the build and design of these phones now. The build of both phones is similar. Plastic body with plastic frame. It's just that the Samsung Galaxy A33 is slightly smaller and has got a handy form factor, and it also happens to be lightweight compared to the A53. Both phones are IP67 protected, both lack the headphone jack, both have a dual stereo speaker setup. I have tested the speakers on both phones and sound output is 100% the same. The phones, however, look quite different from the front. Samsung is still sticking to the old water drop notch for the Galaxy A33. I personally do not like this. The A53 gets the modern punch hole display. I think Samsung has done this to categorize these phones differently. They can't keep everything same on these phones. I think the chipset being the same is enough. The A33 also has slightly bigger bezels and a fat bottom chin. A53's display definitely looks more attractive. Display size of the A53 is 6.5 inches and it's 6.4 inches on the A33. Both phones are using Super AMOLED screens with peak brightness of about 800 nits. The A33 rocks 90Hz refresh rate and A53 rocks 120Hz refresh rate. The difference between 90 and 120Hz isn't that huge on paper, but it's still noticeable, and I think for that reason you would want to use the Galaxy A53. Both displays are protected by Gorilla Glass 5. In terms of colors, contrast, saturation, sharpness, both displays deliver an equally good experience. Outdoor visibility is also decent on both sides. The display design and refresh rate is the only main differentiating factor between these two handsets. There is a fingerprint scanner underneath the display of both the phones. It's just a normal optical reader that works fine Do not expect flagship grade performance from this fingerprint scanner. The haptic feedback of both the phones is equally poor. I wish Samsung improves the haptic feedback of its mid-range phones someday. The software and UI on both phones is also 100% the same. Both phones are powered by Samsung One UI 4.1 Android 12. Most of the features on both the phones are same. For example, you will find the object eraser on both the sides. This is a nice feature. This was a flagship feature that Samsung has brought to the mid-range Samsung Galaxy devices now. The quick share, music share, advanced features like dual messenger are also available on both the sides. But there is one feature that I really missed on the Samsung Galaxy A33. The Galaxy A33, despite having a Super AMOLED screen, does not have the always-on display. Now, this is such a shame that a phone that cost this much is being deprived of the always-on display. This is not good from Samsung. I hope that Samsung brings the always-on display to the Samsung Galaxy A33 through a software update. Anyways, this feature is available on the Samsung Galaxy A53, which definitely means that Samsung wanted to keep it as a differentiating factor. Both phones qualify for 4 years of Android updates and 5 years of security updates. This year, Samsung has increased the battery of A53 to 5000 mAh, so now you get a 5000 mAh battery on both the A53 and the A33. I haven't fully tested the battery on these phones, but going by the tech specs, the battery of the A33 should be able to last longer because of its smaller display with 90Hz of refresh rate. However, a full battery drain test of both the phones is planned and it will come out really soon on my channel. Expect that video to come out in about 1 week, so make sure that you guys stay tuned for that. Remember, none of these devices bring a charger out of the box and these support 25-watt fast charging. And with this we reach the conclusion. The only thing common between these phones is the chipset and performance. In all other aspects, be it the camera, be it the display, the software, the Samsung Galaxy A53 is a much superior device and offers a better overall experience. But the A53 has a higher price too. So if you think that you can live with those trade-offs on the Galaxy A33 while paying a low amount, sure, you may pick it up, but if you can stretch your budget, I suggest getting the Samsung Galaxy A53. In the end, the choice is yours. Let me know which phone do you like better. Drop your feedback about this comparison in the comments below. Subscribe and like if you haven't yet. I will sign off and see you all in the next one.